Oh, yes. These professional persons known as educators, right? They trust that everything that you do as a court is done according to the law. Yeah. And when you don't do what the law requires, they have fraudulent custody of my sons because of your fraud. Now, I have told you, yes, that this is what the law requires. Brent Baseman doesn't get to make exceptions to the rules. Every court order has to be issued according to these instructions. Now, when you don't do what the instructions say, you gave custody of my sons to some individuals that don't have any right to have custody of them. Now, for every educator, the Office of Professional Practices, that an applicant for or the holder of a professional certification lacks good moral character or personal fitness. These standards are set forth in the WACs and address the commission of criminal acts, yes, and other behavior which endanger children. Child abduction, yes, and child kidnapping endangers children. Now, you issue court orders that are in direct violation of the requirements of the RCWs as the law requires, and then you make exceptions to what you think the law says. The truth of the matter is, my sons were abducted on July 2nd of 2011. Heidi moved to Clallam County, yes, and you issued a court order where I was not given any notice or opportunity to be heard. When you did that, you gave custody of my sons to my wife without me being able to appear in court. And when you did that, you gave custody of my sons to those known as, oh, oh, too short. General welfare of the students within the state of Washington. Now, this accountability that seems to be a problem, right? The exclusive chapter, and then there's the any student enrolled in any school or school district served by the education practitioner. Could you get me all of the certifications, every license of every teacher and every individual? Now, now, any student enrolled in any school or school district while attending a school-related activity at which the education practitioner is performing professional duties. These professional duties, yes, of the education practitioner, they're very similar to the duties that oaths of office have to support the Constitution. They're similar to the duties that police officers have to enforce the laws. They're very similar to the professional duties of those that are attorneys, judges, and justices. Now, each and every individual that performs their professional duty can be held liable for not doing their duty. Now, any former student who is under 18 years of age and who has been under the supervision, yes, direction or control of the education practitioner, which that would be every one of my sons are under the age of 18, yes. And all of them have been under the supervision, yes, direction or control of an education practitioner, yes, without the jurisdiction or authority of law. Every one of them. Now, for this, former students, yes, for the purpose of this section includes but is not limited to dropouts, graduates, and students who transfer to other districts or schools. That would include Jessica Lee Hodges, my stepdaughter, where when she first filled out the protection order, she did include her name. Now, when you include the minors named, yes, and you do not give any due process to right, I'm, I'm just making sure you understand the Colleague definition. As used in this chapter, the term colleague means any person with whom the educational practitioner has established a professional relationship and includes fellow workers and employees regardless of their status as education practitioners. That would be any colleague in any school where you gave supervision, yes, control, or supervision, yes, control, excuse me, or direction of my 5 sons and Jessica Lee Hodges until she had graduated without any jurisdiction or authority of law. That means the dissolution of marriage, where you did not give me actual notice of court hearings. Yes, you did not give me the actual dissolution of marriage. And for every professional educator, yes, education practitioner, and all of their colleagues, I can sue every fucking one of them. Now, if we think about every person that worked in food service, yes, every secretary, every administrator, every individual in every school district, and then all of those in every school district in the United States that have any knowledge of forgery, fraud, abduction, exploitation, abuse of children, endangering children, and kidnapping, it seems to me that the law enforcement in this state and in this needs to enforce the laws of the United States. Now, I really didn't like the thought of not having a tent, a sleeping bag, yes, an additional coat, the clothes that I would need if I were to be out all night. So for every dog that was laughing their fucking asses off, torturing, tormenting, harassing, and terrorizing myself and my family, I want to remind all the dogs that you should not be absent-minded when knowing that the individual staying at that house has the authority, yes, the permission of the renter that had one of these blood ulcers is going through some sort of rehabilitation, yes. And I personally gave you my phone number and I spoke to you twice and we both agreed it'd be best if I just stay there. Oh. Now, I'm really faced with a difficult situation. Yes, it's Friday afternoon. I woke up at 5 a.m. Yes, I had to take a bus all the way to Port Townsend and all the way back because nobody in Clallam County wanted to remove the protection order or the dissolution of marriage. They wanted my sons and Jessica Lee Hodges, as a graduate, to be in the control, yes, supervision, and direction of every colleague and every professional educator, the educational practitioners that are all certified and licensed in every state of the United States. Now, I would suggest that you carefully consider this concept of not enforcing the laws. It seems that the sheriff's department doesn't understand the colleagues. Yes. Now, there's what's known as the acts of unprofessional conduct, misrepresentation, or falsification in the course of professional practice. Now, some people would think, is that only inclusive of each document involved in the employment as an educational practitioner, or is that the concept that the petitioner didn't sign it? Yes, there's a forgery of an ex officio superior court, that there were forgeries used as the name of the petitioner, Heidi Lee Budner, and that there was numerous instances, approximately 50 to 60 different instances, where you decided that you would violate my rights as a father. Yes. Now, when you look at Exhibit B, Jack Pooch, there was no attempt to service here from July 8th to July 22nd. Yes, there was no attempt to service here, from July 22nd to August 12th. Oh, you issued a court order for 1 year without any attempt to service, without any proof of service, and you decided to give my sons into the custody of educational practitioners, yes, and their colleagues for the last 7+ years. Do you not see a problem with fraud, forgery, and contempt of court? Now, Judge Ken Williams could have removed this, knowing that I never got actual notice or opportunity to be heard. Oh. And then you issued a dissolution of marriage. Yes, yes, yes. Where my wife had me arrested 3 days later, and then had motioned the court to reissue the protection order. Yes. Where I was not able to respond because you arrested me at the same moment as serving me the dissolution of marriage. Now, after I had gotten out of jail, wrongful execution or then response to the petition.